Attention insurance agents, do you make these 5 common closing mistakes when you are closing your insurance sales presentation? Most likely you are, and you need help on how to overcome these common mistakes so that you can help more people get insurance plans that help them with whatever it is they need help with. My name is David Duford. I own Duford Insurance Group. I help agents become top producers in final expense and Medicare insurance. Make sure you check out davidduford.com/FAQ to learn more. So let's jump right into the 5 most common closing mistakes that insurance agents make to help you get more closes and help more people. Number 1, no preliminary qualification. Now, why are we talking about qualifying when we're here on a video about closing? Closing happens at the end of the call. Qualifying happens at the end. How can the two be related? Bottom line, closing is directly correlated with how well you pre-qualified. In other words, if you want a strong close, you have to have a strong qualifying, pre-qualifying event. Because here's the thing. When you know as you go into the close what the client's why is, what are they motivated by, what are their fears, what are their concerns, what do they want to accomplish, then when you're at the close, giving your final pitch, your final push to get the client committed and closed, firing off all those hot button issues that you uncovered during the pre-qualifying phase, their why, their issues, their concerns, you're going to stir up that much more conviction at the very time it's most needed when their anxiety is at its highest level. Again, without effective pre-qualifying, you're not going to really know what stirs and motivates the client. And when you get down to asking for a commitment, they may have too much fear that trumps over their concern because you didn't give an opportunity for them to manifest verbally what it is that they want. So the first thing I can tell you is this: if you want to close better, do a better job preliminarily speaking, I think that's a word, right? Asking good questions based off of the need and desire of the client. So for example, questions I love to ask in insurance presentations are, what am I doing here today? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What were your thoughts and concerns when you requested this information? What do you want your insurance policy to do for you? God forbid, if you don't take care of this, what happens? For example, if you had life insurance. And the list can go on and on and on. The point is, by asking these very good, open-ended pre-qualifying questions, I'm going to get at the emotional urgency of the client. And when it comes time to get their money, when I can bring up the hot button issues, they're going to be that much more interested in actually moving forward. Number 2, no conviction. So it's important at the close to maintain your energy level and conviction despite your anxiety rising, as well as your client's anxieties rising too. Part of this process at the end of the presentation, the client knows what's about to happen. You're about to take their money, or at least try to. They're going to start to have buyer's remorse, second guessing, doubts, because you're about to ask them to take a step forward and commit. And all of this kind of head trash is swirling around in your client's brain. And the last thing they need is an unconvicted agent who is not fully tripling down on their belief and exhibition of their belief on why they feel that the prospect should buy today. So it's imperative when you're at the close and you're asking for the client to make a commitment that you feel in your heart of hearts, and not just feel, but perform in your heart of hearts, that they should do this. Your conviction level should be throttle full, all the way to the max, to get that client who's right on the edge of buying at times, to dip all the way over to commitment because of your belief and conviction. They will follow it if you display it, and if you don't, somebody who's right on the edge, they may just decide to wait another day, to not fully commit. So your performance and your belief and your conviction is paramount. Don't cut your performance and your conviction short. Go all the way. Show that you believe in it so they'll believe in you. Mistake number 3, no recommendations. So one of the things I started implementing in my final expense sales presentation I teach my agents is to start making recommendations in the close. So what do I mean by recommendations? Well, I tell them to tell their clients why you're recommending a product. Maybe you're recommending a certain company because the price is competitive or the underwriting is competitive. Or maybe a little bit later when you show the 3 options, the good, better, best options, kind of close we use, maybe you recommended them what plan you would suggest them to buy based off of their particular situation. The point is that at the end of the call, you have morphed from unwelcome pest to welcomed guest. You're essentially an advisor now, not a salesperson. And you have the authority and the right to help your client make a good decision because truthfully, They want help making a good decision. They don't want to make a mistake. And they're depending on you, the person in authority here, who's led that person, the prospect, the entire time to the close, to help them make the convicted choice that they believe in. Now, making a recommendation, a couple of pro tips here. Don't make recommendations based off of some arbitrary belief or opinion. Make sure your recommendations are based off of your personal feeling and what's best for the client in combination with what they express as being something of importance. For example, if somebody told me they wanted to be cremated, they just wanted the Big Lebowski cremation and the coffee mugs and thrown off the ledge in California, then maybe they don't need $20,000 in coverage, so I might not suggest it. Now, if there was other needs there, perhaps I would. But if we were looking at a couple of prices, I might say, hey, you just want the simple cremation. We can do higher if you want to, but truthfully, if I was in your situation, I would be looking at either choice A or choice B. This would be enough to do the job. Which one of these do you want to start with? And again, with that recommendation, especially in this context, you're recommending something that necessarily isn't the highest, but I would if it was the best and it best matched in my opinion. But you're going to, again, get the conviction level from the client to you to feel that much better about making that decision of what they're ultimately going to buy. So bottom line, make sure you make a recommendation on what the client should buy. That way you boost their conviction and just, again, push them over the edge so that they're fully committed. Number 4, no closing question. So a big mistake I see a lot of the times is, again, as we've mentioned earlier, anxiety rises at the close. We know what's coming, they know what's coming. And some people just get this fear that asking somebody to make a commitment is bad. So the thing I can tell you this, if you feel this way, like why should somebody take my advice? First of all, go back and revisit why you're doing what you're doing. Go back and revisit if you actually believe in what you do, helping people with their insurance needs. If you believe in yourself, you believe you're doing well by others, then you have the moral obligation to offer them options and to ask them which one it is that they want to go with. So understand psychologically and from a mindset situation, you shouldn't have any sort of hang-ups about asking for a commitment. It is the way to solve their problems with insurance. It is the way to solve the issues they're having by not being covered. So you've got to take that step to ask the client to make a commitment. And people buy all the time, so you asking them to buy, you shouldn't be, morally hung up about this, especially, again, if you believe in the products you're selling. And as far as what to ask, again, here's a simple closing strategy that I've always used in the final expense business. This works in any line of business as far as insurance sales goes. It's to offer 3 options and ask the client which one do they want to work with today or which one do they want to go with today. It works very well because the client has 3 options, a good, better, and best option. You have the opportunity to then ask them which one do they want to buy. We're not asking them, do they want to buy? We assume they want to buy. That gives us a little momentum. And we just then at that point shut up. You don't want to ever interrupt their thinking process and let them decide. It's likely no matter what it is that you sell, that simple good, better, best strategy will absolutely work. If you don't have a closing strategy, use that. Guys, that's all I've ever used. It's the only one you need. Mistake number 5, no rebuttal preparation. So we can do everything right in closing an insurance sale, but we still sometimes will experience objections, pushback, resistance. This is par for the course. You should go into this business preparing to get pushback. Anybody who comes into this business not prepared to deal with objections is planning to fail. Even good buyers who believe in what it is that you're sharing with them will give you pushback, will give you resistance. It doesn't mean that they necessarily won't buy. It's just that you need to go a little further overcoming whatever their resistance is. So if you don't have a strategy to help you deal with the resistance, let me give you a little bit of advice here on the scripting we use at DeFord Insurance Group. So the first thing I like to hear, if somebody says, I need to think about it, I want to make sure I essentially ask, how do you mean? That's fine, Mr. Prospect. When you say you need to think about it, how do you mean? By asking, how do you mean, it gets them to open up. It's an open-ended question. It gets them to talk a little bit more, see what their issues are. And when they identify their issue, let's say it's price, then my response to that is to isolate the objection. Hey, I understand what you're saying about price, but besides price, is there any other objection that you have to moving forward today? And when they say no, and usually it's just one issue, I go to a if-then conditional to get them bought in if I could satisfy their concerns or questions about price. So the conditional sounds like this. Okay, so what I'm hearing is it's a price issue. So if we can overcome this price concerns you have, then what you're saying to me is you're all on board and moving forward. Is that correct? And then 9 out of 10 times they say yes. And at that point, Then I start to give them my proposition on why they should buy anyway. Maybe I lower the price, explain to them that starting with less coverage, albeit less coverage, but more affordable, is better than nothing, and we can always add more later, and then go into this reasoning process to get them committed at a level that maybe, in this example, they want more, but they can't afford it. At least they got something, right? And we can always add it more. And the most important factor to this objection rebuttal is to close. You can say everything I've described, but if you don't say the following statement, so which one of these three do you want to start with? Or in this case, let's start with this one. Who do you want your beneficiary to be? If you're not asking a closing question, then a lot of the times you won't actually get the sale. So make sure you end this objection rebuttal sequence with a closing question. So now you're cured of the most common causes of weak closing. Now go out there and help people with their insurance. Stay convicted, pre-qualify, ask good questions. Make sure that you close with making recommendations. Make sure you've got to close, and make sure you're prepared for objections because they always come. If you can follow these 5 solutions to the 5 problems that you experience, you're going to do a lot better helping more people with their insurance needs. Thank you so much for watching, and check out davidduford.com for more information on joining my agency. See ya.